Listen, there are so many cool weapons in Inuyasha, from Bankotsu's Banryu, to Tessaiga, to Bakusaiga, even Hiraikot's is pretty awesome, but let's be honest, when we think of Inuyasha as a series, obviously the first weapon that comes to mind is, well, Inuyasha's weapon, the Tess Saiga. And yes, before I get 1.5 million comments, it is Tess Saiga and not Tessaiga. There was a mistranslation that was just kind of run with, let's not worry about it. A ton of you have been asking for this one and I'm hyped to talk about it, so if you are looking forward to this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more daily Inuyasha and Yashahime content. To celebrate the release of Yashahime, we aren't just doing this video today, but we're also releasing 4 others. So clicking that subscribe button would mean a ton. I put a lot of work into today. With all that being said, let's talk about the Tess Saiga. The Tess Saiga, or the Iron Crushing Fang, is a powerful demon sword that was originally owned by Inuyasha's father, Toga. He instructed Totosai to forge the sword using one of his own fangs as material for the blade. Similarly, Inuyasha would have the blade repaired and reforged using his own fang later. The Tessaiga is the counterpart to Tessaiga. If the Tessaiga was the blade that could save 100 lives in one swing, the Tessaiga could slay 100 yokai in one strike. Both of these blades seem to have some level of their own will, as they're able to pulse and kind of instruct their wielders on when they wish to be drawn. And both of these swords were originally one blade, but it was separated by Toga so that each of his sons could gain a sword from him and learn a specific set of values as well. The Tessaiga's base form, or the docile form, looks like a regular katana, albeit it's in pretty rough shape. When it transforms, it takes the shape more similar to a falchion or a dadao saber, which becomes many times larger in the process. In order to transform, the wielder must not hate humans, and they must have yoki, which means that while humans can hold the base sword, they can't really use the transformed state. That being said, a human holding the sword could still be protected from yokai abilities. Toga stole Shishinki's Meido Zangetsuha ability with Tessaiga, but this ability would be stored within the Tessaiga later. When Toga died, a barrier was put on Tessaiga so that a full demon who hated humans could not wield it. This hated humans bit is why Shippo and Totosai could touch the Tessaiga with no issues, while Sesshomaru originally couldn't. However, when Sesshomaru has a dragonic hand and a jewel shard, he seems to be able to touch it more easily. The Tessaiga was hidden inside of Toga's grave, between the world of the living and the afterlife, a portal to which was kept inside a black pearl inside of Inuyasha's eye. Sesshomaru's original goal in the series was to find and gain possession of the Tessaiga. So with all that being said, what could this sword actually do, and why does he want it? Well, the bread and butter ability of the Tessaiga is the Kaze no Kizu, or the Windscar. This was an attack which involved slicing through a fissure between the wielder's yoki and the opponent's. However, demons like Kagura, who could shift and control yoki winds, were pretty safe from this. However, after the battle with Ryukotse, Inuyasha learned how to put his own power into the attack, so the fissure appeared around the blade and could be fired anytime he wanted. On the note of Ryukotse, that kind of leads us to the Bakuryuha, or the Backlash wave. Basically, this attack allowed the user to redirect an opponent's yoki and add the power of the Windscar, sending the attack back to the opponent in the process. An ability which allowed Inuyasha to deal with stronger opponents much more easily. There were, of course, 2 requirements for the Backlash wave. Firstly, it could only reflect pure energy attacks that are composed of yoki. So for example, when he was fighting Bankotsu, he couldn't redirect the Banryu's energy attacks until the weapon transformed into a demonic weapon. Second, Inuyasha's own yoki must be on a fairly comparable level to his opponent's, meaning if the opponent was too much stronger than Inuyasha, he couldn't use the attack. Another pretty cool feature is that after the blade was broken by Goshinki and reforged with Inuyasha's fang, it became indestructible. Now this didn't mean that it couldn't be damaged, but as long as Inuyasha was alive, the blade couldn't actually be broken. Instead, it would create its own barrier of wind which would fill in the cracks and form what essentially was a protective shell around the blade. Now, all of that was pretty awesome on its own, but the real strength of the Tessaiga is its power of absorption. It can absorb the primary abilities of any yokai or yokai-based artifact that it destroys, and turn that ability into a new cutting nature. For example, the Red Tessaiga. This was obtained by destroying Shiori's orb. This form would allow the Tessaiga to cut through most barriers. However, after the events of Mount Hakure, it could no longer cut through Naraku's barrier, likely because this new barrier was more powerful. It also couldn't cut through holy barriers. And of course, this ability could also be combined with the Windscar. Then we had the Diamond Tessaiga. and its Adamant Barrage, which was obtained from Hosenki. When swung, the Tessaiga launches a barrage of diamonds that could tear through even stronger barriers than the red Tessaiga. It also unlocked the Adamant Backlash wave, which was only seen in the 4th movie. The Dragon Scale Tessaiga was next. After breaking the Yokai Sword Daki, Tessaiga was able to absorb demonic energy directly. This originally had a limit and would backfire because Inuyasha was a Hanyo, but after defeating Yoretesei's Senki, this stopped. This could also remove demons from someone who was being possessed. When Inuyasha learned to see Yoketsu, the source of demon energy, he could use this Dragon Scale Tessaiga to instantly kill normal yokai, or in the case of demons like Naraku, who were kind of amalgamations, he could remove body parts and prevent them from regenerating. There were of course some ways around this, but we're focusing on the Tessaiga today and not the Demon Sealing Stone, so let's move on. Other absorbed abilities include Nikosen's Life Root Stalk, which allowed him to control the Dragon Scale Tessaiga's demonic aura, and the Flaming Tessaiga, which was only seen once in the manga after absorbing Kinka. Finally, we have the Black Tessaiga, which could use the Meido Zangetsuha, an open Meido which sent enemies straight to the underworld. This was gained after absorbing Tenseiga's energy. And the last thing I want to mention about the sword is that it also acts as a kind of limiter for much of the series, preventing Inuyasha from losing control and going full demon. There's a common question I get in the comments which asks why Inuyasha didn't need the Tessaiga originally to stay in his controlled state, but I would kind of connect that to the fact that Tessaiga was being hidden inside of Inuyasha, albeit another dimension, but that's how I'm rationalizing it. So that's everything to do with the sword itself, but the scabbard also has some abilities. They don't exactly hold up to opening portals to the underworld, but they're still pretty useful. The scabbard is made from the demon tree Bokuseno, and it can deflect or resist Yoki-based attacks. However, continuous force could crack the barrier. If it was damaged, it could be repaired by leaving it inside the hive of demon bees. They would use their wax to fix it. The scabbard can also summon the Tessaiga towards it, which can be fairly useful. The Tessaiga is a pretty amazing sword that saw constant improvement and innovation throughout the series, and I think that's what made it such an iconic weapon. But what do you guys think of it though? Let me know in the comments if you prefer the Tessaiga or the Tenseiga. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more daily Inuyasha and Yashahime content. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to stay excellent.